Stay calm, think smart, The Art of Critical Thinking in Difficult Situations. By Evelyn Harper. Published by Audify Stories. Introduction. Life doesn't wait for you to get your act together. When chaos hits, it doesn't give you a warning or an easy way out. Most people crumble under pressure because they've never been taught how to stay calm or think clearly when the stakes are high. This book is not for the soft-hearted or those content with living a life of reactive, short-sighted decisions. This book is for the fighters who want to take control when the world throws them into the fire. Stay calm, think smart. The Art of Critical Thinking in Difficult Situations is dedicated to bold souls tired of feeling overwhelmed, stressed, and paralyzed by tough decisions. It's for those willing to do the work and who know that mastering calm and clear thinking isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. This book will not sugarcoat things. It will challenge you and push you to confront the habits and mindsets that have held you back. You'll learn to step out of the fog of stress and emotions, confidently make decisions, and stop letting life control you. Because the truth is, calmness is power, and logical thinking is your weapon. This is your wake-up call. Stop waiting for life to get easier. Start getting stronger. Chapter 1, The Role of Perspective, Seeing All Angles. How perspective shapes problem solving. When you're staring down a problem, what you see is only as good as the angle you're looking from. Your perspective dictates the quality of your solution, and if you're locked into one way of seeing things, you'll miss out on better, more innovative solutions. Most people think in straight lines, problem solution. But that's a dead end if you can't shift your point of view. You must understand this: the bigger the problem, the more crucial your perspective becomes. Think of perspective as your lens: clean, adjust, widen, and suddenly that impossible problem becomes manageable. When you feel stuck, it's usually because your thinking is trapped in a narrow space. The moment you expand your viewpoint, options open up. The real power lies in looking at problems from every possible angle, not just the one that feels comfortable or familiar. But here's the thing: shifting perspective isn't just helpful, it's essential. If you keep seeing the same problem the same way, expect the same result. It's not enough to try harder from the same viewpoint. You have to change how you're looking at the issue altogether. Let's be clear, this doesn't mean you abandon rational thinking. It means you understand how you approach a problem, which will make or break the solution. A good problem solver constantly adjusts the angle, seeking better ways to see the challenge ahead. Shifting between micro and macro perspectives. One of the most effective ways to solve problems is learning when to zoom in and when to zoom out. Shifting between micro and macro perspectives is a skill. If you don't have it, you'll miss the bigger picture or get lost in irrelevant details. Here's what that means. The macro perspective is all about the big picture. It's seeing the problem in its entirety and understanding the broader context. This is where you identify patterns, trends, and overarching themes. It's crucial for setting the right strategy and avoiding tunnel vision. The micro perspective is the granular view. It involves digging into the details, uncovering the root causes, and focusing on specific elements that need fixing. The micro perspective is about precision and execution. Most people get stuck in one mode or the other. They either stay too zoomed in and lose sight of the bigger picture, or too zoomed out and must address the critical details. It would help if you had both. You need to know when to step back and assess the full landscape and when to dive in to fix the tiny parts that make up the whole. Let's get real here: problems are rarely one-dimensional. You need the flexibility to switch perspectives. I miss half the puzzle if I feel bothered when you are stuck in one mode. Knowing when to zoom in and when to zoom out gives you control. It gives you options. So, ask yourself, are you too focused on the small stuff and ignoring the more significant issues? Or are you missing crucial details because you're always stuck in big picture thinking? The answer lies in your ability to shift seamlessly between both. Empathy as a tool for understanding. Do you want to solve a problem that involves people? You better start with empathy. And no, empathy doesn't mean being soft. It's not about coddling feelings. Empathy is a tool for deep understanding, and that's what you need to get to the core of any issue involving others. Most people think they understand what's happening with someone else, but let's be blunt, you're missing crucial information if you can't step into their shoes. Empathy isn't just a feel-good buzzword, it's a tactical advantage. It helps you see the problem from a completely different perspective, one that might hold the key to the solution. You don't have to agree with someone to empathize with them. You have to understand where they're coming from. And that understanding can help you approach the problem with more precision. People are complicated, and your solution will only succeed if it recognizes human factors. Empathy lets you factor in those human elements and build a solution. In short, empathy broadens your perspective. It adds layers to your understanding and is essential if your problem involves human relationships, team dynamics, or customer needs. If you want to be an effective problem solver, empathy isn't optional, it's a must. Challenging your viewpoint. Here's the uncomfortable truth: your viewpoint sometimes needs to be corrected. Most people hold on to their opinions, beliefs, and perceptions like they're sacred. But if you're not willing to challenge your thinking, you will stay stuck in the same patterns that led you to the problem in the first place. The best problem solvers know how to question their assumptions. They understand that their first take on a situation isn't necessarily the best, and they actively look for ways to challenge their thinking. This takes real mental toughness because it means admitting you might be wrong. It means being humble enough to recognize that your perspective could be flawed. And here's the thing, most of the time, it is. We're all biased somehow, and those biases color how we see problems. If you don't challenge your viewpoint, you're not thinking critically, just reinforcing your biases. Ask yourself, what am I missing? What am I not seeing? When you question your perspective, you open the door to new ideas and solutions. If you cling to your original view, you're just limiting yourself. The real power comes when you're brave enough to challenge your mind. The impact of cultural background on perspective. Let's clarify, your cultural background shapes how you see the world. And that's not just true for you but for everyone. Culture influences how we perceive problems, approach solutions, and even what we consider a problem in the first place. You're missing a massive puzzle piece without factoring in cultural perspectives. Cultural diversity can be one of your greatest assets in problem solving, but only if you're aware of it. If you're blind to how culture shapes perspectives, you'll miss critical nuances that could make or break your solution. For example, what might seem like an obvious solution to you could be entirely off the mark for someone from a different cultural background. Their values, their experiences, and their social norms all influence how they see the problem and how they'll respond to the solution. You're setting yourself up for failure if you're not considering that. The key is awareness. You need to be aware of your cultural biases and how they might affect your problem-solving approach. However, you must also know how other cultural perspectives could enhance your understanding of the problem. The more perspectives you bring, the better your chances of finding a solution that works. Reframing challenges as opportunities. Here's the mindset shift that separates the winners from the losers: every challenge is an opportunity in disguise. Most people see problems as obstacles, roadblocks that slow them down or make life difficult. But if that's your mindset, you've already lost half the battle. Successful problem solvers don't see challenges as setbacks, they see them as chances to innovate, improve, and grow stronger. The key to reframing challenges is to stop seeing them as negative and start seeing them as opportunities for growth. This is about something other than being unthinkingly optimistic. It's about recognizing that every problem has a potential upside, if you want to see it. The moment you reframe a challenge as an opportunity, your entire approach shifts. You stop feeling defeated and start getting creative. You start looking for ways to turn the situation around, to use the challenge as a springboard for something better. Reframing is a mental tool, and it's powerful. It helps you control your mindset, even when things get tough. The next time you face a problem, ask yourself, how can I turn this challenge into an opportunity? What's the hidden benefit here? Once you learn to reframe challenges, you'll find that problems are stepping stones to something greater. Shifting your perspective and approaching problems from multiple angles will give you the upper hand in any situation. This chapter has laid out the foundations, but you must put them into practice. Adjust your lens, challenge your viewpoint, and look for opportunities where others only see obstacles. The role of time, past, present, and future perspectives. Time is a critical element in shaping perspective. Problems aren't isolated events that pop up, they are part of a more extensive timeline. If you don't factor in the past, present, and future, your solutions will always be short-sighted. Past perspective: every problem has a history. You need to understand what led up to the current situation. Mistakes were made, decisions were made, and each one has influenced the problem you're facing now. Look back to avoid repeating those mistakes. Use the past to identify patterns and understand context, but take your time. Your past shouldn't imprison your future. Present perspective: this is where you make decisions. You need to be grounded in what's happening now. What are the current variables? What are the immediate consequences? Staying present means staying adaptable and ready to respond to changes as they unfold. Too many people get bogged down in past regrets or future fears and fail to act when it matters most, now. Future perspective: here's where most people drop the ball. They make decisions based on short-term thinking without considering the long-term effects. You need to ask yourself, how will this decision impact tomorrow, next month, or even years from now? A good solution isn't just about fixing the present, it's about ensuring the future remains strong. You're playing the long game, so act like it. Your ability to shift between these perspectives, past, present, and future, separates reactive problem solvers from strategic ones. If you only look at the present, you're missing 2/3 of the puzzle. The danger of a single story: avoiding tunnel vision. Here's a hard truth: if you only see one side of the story, you fail. The world isn't black and white, and problems aren't one-dimensional. But so many people get trapped in tunnel vision, they see the problem only from their limited viewpoint, and everything else fades away. Tunnel vision is dangerous because it leads to incomplete solutions. You think you found the answer but haven't scratched the surface. When you're locked into a single perspective, you lose the ability to understand the bigger picture. You stop questioning, you stop challenging, and that's when you get stuck. The problem with a single story is that it closes your eyes to alternative explanations, solutions, and opportunities. You only see what you want to see. And worse, you convince yourself that your view is the only valid one. This is how mistakes happen. This is how you miss crucial details and set yourself up for failure. To avoid tunnel vision, you need to seek out other perspectives actively. Ask yourself, what am I missing? What am I still looking for? Be open to the possibility that your first take on the problem could be wrong or incomplete. Broaden your view, and you'll start seeing solutions you never considered. Multiple perspectives in conflict resolution. Conflict isn't the problem, stubbornness is. When two or more people are locked in a disagreement, the real issue isn't the conflict itself, it's the inability to see the situation from multiple perspectives. Let's be clear, conflicts are rarely one-sided. There are always multiple angles, but people get so attached to their viewpoint that they refuse to consider another person's perspective. This is a recipe for stalemate. You'll never resolve a conflict if you're stuck in your mindset, convinced you're right and everyone else is wrong. The key to resolving conflict is perspective taking. You need to step outside yourself and see the problem through someone else's eyes. This doesn't mean you must agree with them, but you need to understand where they're coming from. Only then can you find common ground. Here's the kicker: multiple perspectives don't weaken your position, they strengthen it. By understanding the other side, you're not giving up ground. You're equipping yourself with more information to find a better solution. A suitable resolution isn't about one person winning and the other losing, it's about finding a path that works for everyone involved. Perspective is your most powerful tool in conflict. When you open yourself to seeing all angles, you're no longer stuck, you're in control. How feedback enhances perspective. Feedback is a mirror. It shows you things about yourself and your decisions that you can't see alone. Most people are terrible at accepting feedback because they see it as criticism. But the truth is, feedback is one of the best ways to enhance your perspective. Here's why: You have blind spots. Everyone does. And if you're not willing to let someone else show you those blind spots, you will keep making the same mistakes over and over. Feedback helps you see what you're missing, where you're falling short, and where your perspective is limited. The problem is that people are too protective of their egos. They'd instead stick to their perspective and ignore valuable insights from others. But if you want to grow and get better at solving problems, you need to embrace feedback. It would help if you treated it as an opportunity to sharpen your perspective and fill in the gaps you can't see. Don't be defensive or justify your position when someone offers you feedback. Instead, listen and consider what they're saying. The goal isn't to prove them wrong but to improve your understanding. Feedback broadens your view, and your solutions are better when your view is broader. Recognizing and overcoming personal filters. Everyone has personal filters. These biases, beliefs, and assumptions color how you see the world. And whether you like it or not, your filters affect your perspective, and, therefore, your problem-solving abilities. Here's the harsh truth: your filters are limiting you. They prevent you from seeing the whole picture and narrow your understanding of the problem. If you recognize your filters, you'll avoid running into the same obstacles over and over again. The first step to overcoming personal filters is recognizing that they exist. You are not as objective as you think you are. No one is. We all have blind spots shaped by our upbringing, culture, experiences, and fears. These filters affect how we interpret information, how we judge others, and how we approach problems. Once you recognize your filters, you can start to challenge them. Ask yourself, what am I assuming here? What biases are influencing my thinking? This is challenging work. It requires humility and a willingness to admit that your perspective might be flawed. But here's the upside: when you overcome your filters, you unlock new levels of insight. You start seeing problems for what they are, not just how they appear through your biased lens. And that's when you start finding real solutions. Perspective isn't a passive tool. It's an active skill that you need to sharpen every day. The more you challenge your viewpoint, the more angles you consider, and the more willing you are to admit your limitations, the better your problem solving will be. Stop seeing problems from a single, narrow lens. Stop thinking you have all the answers. Open yourself to new perspectives, embrace feedback, and challenge your biases. This is how you get better. This is how you solve problems that others can't. The world isn't going to adjust to your viewpoint. It's on you to expand your perspective and see all angles. Only then will you have the clarity, depth, and insight to make decisions that truly matter. Chapter 2: Understanding Critical Thinking. The Foundations of Critical Thinking. Let's start with the basics. Critical thinking isn't a skill, it's a mindset. It's the foundation for everything you do. It's how you separate good decisions from bad ones, truth from lies, and facts from assumptions. Most people don't truly understand critical thinking, so they fail to use it effectively. Critical thinking is about questioning everything. It's about looking at information and asking yourself, is this accurate? Is this biased? Does it actually support the conclusions being made? It's about digging beneath the surface and not taking things at face value. Most importantly, it's about being honest when your thinking falls short. You have to train yourself to think critically every single day. It's not just something you turn on in moments of crisis. It's how you approach every situation in life. Ask questions, challenge assumptions, and demand evidence. This isn't just about being skeptical, it's about being smart. You owe it to yourself to think with clarity, precision, and depth. Critical thinking isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. If you're not thinking critically, you're setting yourself up to fail, plain and simple. The truth is that people who don't think critically are easy to manipulate. They fall for easy answers and surface-level solutions. Don't be that person. Build a solid foundation of critical thinking and use it as your weapon. The importance of open-mindedness. Open-mindedness isn't about being soft, it's about being smart. It means you're willing to consider new information, even when it challenges what you think you know. If you can't do that, you're not a critical thinker. Period. Too many people think that being open-minded means you don't stand for anything, that you're wishy-washy. That's completely wrong. Open-mindedness is about recognizing that you don't have all the answers. Understanding that your perspective is limited and other viewpoints might reveal something you've missed. Here's the deal: closed-minded people are stagnant. They cling to their beliefs, even when outdated or flat out wrong. They reject anything that doesn't fit into their preconceived notions, so they stop growing. To be a critical thinker, you must embrace open-mindedness as a strength. It doesn't mean you accept everything, you give every idea a fair shot before deciding. It means you're willing to entertain different perspectives without immediately dismissing them. Open-mindedness isn't a weakness, it's a gateway to stronger, better decisions. The next time you feel yourself shutting down a new idea, ask yourself, am I being closed-minded right now? If the answer is yes, it's time to stop and reassess. Actual growth happens when you're willing to change your mind based on new, solid information. Distinguishing between assumptions and facts. Here's the truth: most people base their decisions on assumptions, not facts. And that's why they get into trouble. Assumptions are dangerous because they're often hidden. You don't realize you're making them even more insidious. An assumption is something you believe to be true without proof. A fact, on the other hand, is something that can be verified and proven. If you're unclear on the difference between the two, you're building your decisions on shaky ground. Stop assuming. Start verifying. Every time you make an assumption, stop and ask, where's the evidence? It's time to rethink your position if you can't find any. Assumptions can sneak into your thought process, especially when you're in a hurry or under pressure. But that's precisely when you need to be even more vigilant. Here's the hard truth: the more assumptions you make, the more your decisions will be weaker. It's not enough to believe something is true. You have to know it's true. And that requires work. You need to dig, research, and demand evidence before you accept anything as fact. Be active with your thinking. Separate assumptions from facts, and you will instantly make more intelligent, informed decisions. The influence of cognitive biases on thought processes. Cognitive biases are the enemy of critical thinking. They are mental shortcuts that warp your thinking and distort your decision-making process. The worst part? You don't even realize they're happening. Everyone has cognitive biases. They're hardwired into the human brain, and if you're not aware of them, they'll sabotage your thinking every time. Here are a few of the most common ones you need to watch out for. Confirmation bias occurs when you pay attention only to information that confirms what you already believe and ignore everything else. It feels good to be validated, but it can blind you to the full picture. Anchoring bias. This happens when you rely too heavily on the first piece of information you get, even if better information comes later. The first thing you hear sticks, and it colors everything that comes after. Availability bias. This is when you judge the probability of something happening based on how easily examples come to mind. For example, if you hear about plane crashes on the news, you might overestimate how dangerous flying is, even though statistically, it's very safe. These are just a few examples, but the list goes on. Biases distort your thinking and lead you down the wrong path. The only way to fight them is to be aware of them. Every time you decide, stop and ask yourself, am I falling into a bias here? If the answer is yes, it's time to take a step back and reassess. Biases can't be eliminated, but they can be managed. The key is awareness. Know your biases, challenge them, and don't let them cloud your judgment. Critical thinking in everyday decisions. Here's the thing: critical thinking isn't just for big, life-altering decisions. It's for the everyday choices you make, too. In fact, if you don't practice critical thinking in the small things, you won't be good at it when it matters. No matter how small, every decision is an opportunity to sharpen your critical thinking skills. What you eat for breakfast, how you spend your free time, and who you choose to surround yourself with are all moments where you can apply critical thinking. Are you making these decisions based on facts, or are you running on autopilot? Are you considering all the variables or just using the most accessible option? The truth is, Your life is the sum of your everyday decisions. The small choices add up. If you don't think critically daily, you're setting yourself up for more significant mistakes. Here's the challenge: treat every decision as an opportunity to practice critical thinking. Don't wait for the big moments. The more you train yourself in the small things, the more natural it becomes. When a high-stakes decision comes your way, you'll be ready. You'll already be in the habit of questioning, verifying, and analyzing. Critical thinking isn't something you turn on and off. It's a way of life, and it starts with the small decisions you make every day. The role of reflection in deepening critical thought. Most people fall short here. They don't reflect on their decisions. They make a choice, live with the consequences, and move on. But reflection is where real growth happens. It is how you deepen your critical thinking. After you make a decision, you need to go back and analyze it. Was it the right choice? What information did you overlook? What biases crept into your thinking? You're only learning from your decisions if you're reflecting on them. And if you're not learning, you're repeating the same mistakes. Reflection isn't just about looking at the outcome. It's about analyzing the process that led to that outcome. It would help if you broke it down step by step. Where did you get your information? How did you weigh the pros and cons? What factors influenced your final decision? This is how you improve. This is how you get better. The best thinkers are the ones who constantly reflect. They don't just pat themselves on the back when things go well, and they don't just shrug their shoulders when things go wrong. They dive deep into the decision-making process and figure out what worked and what didn't. Here's the challenge: after every major decision, and even some of the smaller ones, take the time to reflect. Be brutally honest with yourself. What could you have done better? What did you miss? Reflection is where you turn critical thinking from a skill into a habit. Critical thinking isn't optional, it's essential. It's the difference between being in control of your life and being at the mercy of circumstances. You must build the foundations, keep an open mind, distinguish between assumptions and facts, and stay aware of cognitive biases. Take your time when making big decisions, and start thinking critically. Please start with the small things now and make it a habit. And always take time to reflect, because that's where you sharpen your edge and deepen your understanding. Critical thinking is a lifelong journey. Get better every day. Don't settle for surface level thinking. Push yourself to question, analyze, and improve. That's how you win. Chapter 3: From Reactivity to Response. The biological basis of reactivity. Let's start with the cold, hard truth: reactivity is hardwired into your biology. It's not just a character flaw or an emotional shortcoming, it's a survival mechanism. Your brain is designed to react quickly when it perceives danger. This instinct served us well when running from predators, but it's less valuable when dealing with everyday situations like stress at work or a heated argument. Your brain's reactivity is primarily controlled by the amygdala, responsible for detecting threats and triggering your fight or flight response. When the amygdala is activated, your body floods with stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol, preparing you to confront or escape the perceived danger. This is where most people get stuck. Your brain sees danger, your emotions take over, and rational thinking goes out the window. Here's the problem: in today's world, the threats we face are rarely life or death. They're social, emotional, and psychological. But your brain can't tell the difference. It reacts the same way, whether you're being chased by a lion or criticized by a colleague. That's why understanding the biological basis of reactivity is crucial. If you don't, you'll continue to let your body control your responses rather than using your mind to stay in control. Reactivity is natural, but it's only sometimes helpful. The goal is to shift from automatic, emotional reactions to intentional, rational responses. That's what separates reactive people from proactive ones and will separate you from the crowd. Emotional reactivity versus rational response. Here's the bottom line: emotional reactivity is your enemy. It causes you to say things you regret, make impulsive decisions, and lose control. Rational response, on the other hand, is your weapon. It lets you stay calm, think clearly, and make intelligent decisions, even under pressure. Emotional reactivity happens when emotions take over and cloud judgment. You react based on how you feel in the moment rather than considering the long-term consequences of your actions. This is why emotional decisions are often impulsive, short-sighted, and regrettable. Rational response means taking a step back, analyzing the situation, and choosing your actions deliberately. It's about recognizing that your initial emotional reaction is only sometimes the best guide. The goal is to shift from reacting to responding because the two are very different. When you react, you let your emotions dictate your behavior. When you respond, you make a conscious decision based on logic, not feelings. Emotional reactivity is fast and messy, while rational response is slow and controlled. The tough love, it will control you if you don't control your emotional reactivity. You'll be caught in cycles of regret and frustration because you're constantly making decisions based on your immediate emotional state rather than the facts. The truth is that emotional reactivity is a weakness. The rational response is strength. Training the brain to pause before reacting. Reactivity is automatic, but responding is a choice. The problem is that most people don't realize they have that choice because they never pause long enough to see it. When something triggers you, your first instinct is to react. But the power of response lies in the pause, when you decide whether to act emotionally or rationally. Training your brain to pause is the key to breaking the cycle of reactivity. This doesn't happen overnight, it's a skill you must practice every day. The pause gives you the space to think, to assess the situation, and to choose a rational response instead of reacting impulsively. Here's how you train your brain to pause. Recognize the trigger. The moment you feel your emotions start to take over, stop. Notice what's happening inside you: anger, fear, frustration, or anxiety. Awareness is the first step to interrupting the reactivity loop. Breathe. It sounds simple, but when you're in a reactive state, your breathing becomes shallow and fast. Slow, deep breaths help activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which calms your body and mind. This physical shift gives you the space to think more clearly. Count to 5. This forces a pause. It's hard to react impulsively when you've given yourself a few seconds to think. This brief delay gives your rational brain a chance to kick in, giving you control over how you respond. Ask yourself, what's the smartest response here? It's not the easiest or most gratifying at the moment, but the smartest. This simple question shifts your brain from emotional reactivity to logical thinking. The pause is where you take back control. It's where you stop being a victim of your emotions and start making intentional decisions. Without the pause, you're just a slave to your instincts. With the pause, you're in charge. Understanding triggers: what causes reactivity? If you want to stop reacting, you have to know what triggers you. Triggers are the specific events, words, or situations that set off your emotional reactivity. They push your buttons, causing you to react without thinking. The problem is, most people don't even know what their triggers are, they just know they get angry, anxious, or frustrated without understanding why. Here's the truth: triggers are personal. What sets you off might not affect someone else, and vice versa. But if you don't know what your triggers are, you'll keep getting caught off guard. Understanding your triggers is the first step to mastering them. Start by identifying the patterns in your reactivity. When do you lose control? What situations consistently cause you to overreact? Is it criticism? Rejection? Feeling disrespected? Once you know your triggers, you can start to see them coming, and prepare yourself to respond differently. Triggers are emotional landmines. If you're unaware of them, they'll blow up in your face every time. But once you identify them, you can diffuse them before they cause damage. Here's how you deal with triggers. Identify the pattern. Look for recurring themes in your reactions. What types of situations consistently set you off? Write them down. Be brutally honest with yourself. Examine the cause. Dig deeper. Why do these situations trigger you? Is it fear of failure? A need for control? A feeling of inadequacy? Understanding the root cause of your triggers helps you address the real issue rather than just reacting to the surface level situation. Prepare a response. Once you know your triggers, you can create a plan for handling them. Decide in advance how you'll respond when a trigger is activated. This will take the power away from the trigger and put it back in your hands. Practice self-compassion. Triggers are tied to deep emotional wounds, and reactivity often comes from a place of fear or insecurity. Be kind to yourself as you work through these triggers. Acknowledge that they're part of being human, but don't let them control you. Here's the bottom line: you can't control the triggers, but can control how you respond to them. The key is preparation. If you know what sets you off and have a plan, you're less likely to get swept up in emotional reactivity. The role of stress in reactive behavior. Let's get one thing straight: stress is a significant driver of reactivity. When stress levels rise, your ability to think clearly and rationally drops. It's no coincidence that you snap at people when you're overwhelmed or make poor decisions under pressure. Stress hijacks your brain's ability to respond rationally and throws you into reactive mode. Here's why: stress triggers the release of hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. These chemicals put your body into fight or flight mode. They're designed to help you survive danger, but in modern life, they often backfire. Instead of helping you escape physical threats, they push you into overreaction, causing you to lash out, make impulsive choices, or freeze up entirely. Stress doesn't just affect your mood, it rewires your brain. When constantly stressed, your brain becomes more sensitive to perceived threats. Minor inconveniences suddenly feel like significant crises. You're on edge, continually waiting for the next problem to hit. This is why managing stress is critical to shift from reactivity to response. If you let stress control you, minor challenges will turn into explosive reactions. It would help to recognize when stress is starting to take over and put systems in place to manage it before it wrecks your decision-making abilities. Stress is inevitable, but reactivity is a choice. The more control you have over your stress levels, the more control you have over your reactions. Strategies to shift from reactivity to response. Moving from reactivity to response requires deliberate action. It's not something that happens by accident. You must train yourself to break the reactive loop and consciously choose your response. This doesn't mean suppressing your emotions but taking control of how you express them. Here are the most effective strategies to shift from reactivity to response. Practice emotional detachment. The first step to moving away from reactivity is emotionally detaching from the situation, even for a moment. Stop seeing everything as a personal attack. You need to understand that not everything requires an emotional response. Practice catching the problem as an outsider. This distance gives you the clarity needed to assess the situation objectively. Use cognitive reframing. Reframing is a powerful tool for changing how you see a situation. Instead of viewing a problem as a threat, reframe it as a challenge. Ask yourself, how can I turn this situation into an opportunity to grow or learn? Reframing shifts you out of a reactive mindset and into a problem-solving one. Breathe to calm your nervous system. When you're reactive, your body is in fight or flight mode, and your nervous system is on high alert. Deep, controlled breathing is one of the fastest ways to calm your nervous system and bring yourself back to a rational state. Use this as your go-to strategy when you feel your emotions bubbling up. Take a timeout. There's no shame in stepping away from a situation to cool down. If you feel yourself getting reactive, take a break. Walk away, gather your thoughts, and return to the problem with a clearer mind. Reacting in the heat of the moment rarely leads to good outcomes. Practice self-talk. Your internal conversation with yourself is robust. When you feel reactive, start coaching yourself through the situation. Tell yourself, stay calm. You don't need to react emotionally. What's the smartest move here? Positive, rational self-talk shifts you from your emotional state and puts you back in control. Get perspective. Sometimes, reactivity happens because you're too close to the situation. Take a step back and ask yourself, will this matter in a day, a week, or a month? Gaining perspective helps you realize that most issues aren't worth an emotional meltdown. It encourages you to choose a calm, measured response over a reactive outburst. Channel your emotions productively. Instead of letting your emotions control you, channel them into productive action. Anger, frustration, and stress can fuel you to solve the problem. The key is to direct that energy into constructive solutions rather than letting it explode uncontrollably. Recognize your patterns. If you're constantly reacting the same way to the same triggers, you need to break the pattern. Identify the situations where you typically lose control and develop a new strategy for handling them. Being proactive about your emotional responses puts you back in charge. Cultivate a response mindset. Start thinking of yourself as someone who responds rather than someone who reacts. Adopt a mindset that values calm, rational action over emotional impulsiveness. This shift in identity can help you make better choices in the heat of the moment. Visualize your desired response. Before entering a potentially reactive situation, visualize how you want to respond. Imagine yourself handling the challenge with calm and clarity. This mental rehearsal prepares your brain to choose a rational response when emotions flare up. Focus on solutions, not problems. Reactivity keeps you stuck in the problem. When you're busy reacting, you're not thinking about solutions. Shift your focus from what went wrong to what you can do to fix it. Solution-oriented thinking keeps you moving forward, while reactivity keeps you stuck in the past. Take ownership of your emotions. The final strategy is taking full responsibility for how you respond to the world around you. Stop blaming others for how you feel or react. Owning your emotions means you're in control. When you're in control, you can choose your response. This is where the real power lies. These strategies work if you practice them consistently. The goal is to build habits that turn your automatic reactions into thoughtful, deliberate responses. The more you apply these tools, the more natural your response will become. Self-awareness, the first step toward response. Here's the truth: you can't respond rationally if you're unaware of what's happening inside you. Self-awareness is the foundation of emotional intelligence, the first step toward moving from reactivity to response. If you're blind to your emotional state, you won't be able to control how you react. Self-awareness is about recognizing your emotions as they arise. Most people are only aware of their feelings after they've exploded. It would be best if you started noticing your emotional shifts in real time. The earlier you recognize your feelings, the easier it is to intervene and prevent reactivity. Here's how you build self-awareness. Check in with yourself regularly. Throughout the day, take a moment to ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? Are you tense, anxious, frustrated, or calm? Be honest with yourself. The more you practice checking in, the more naturally it will come when emotions rise. Identify physical cues. Emotions don't just exist in your mind, they manifest in your body. Pay attention to the physical signs that indicate you're becoming reactive. Maybe your heart rate increases, your muscles tense up, or your breathing becomes shallow. These cues are your body's way of telling you that you're about to react. Observe your thoughts. Your thoughts drive your emotions, and negative or irrational thoughts can escalate reactivity. Practice observing your thoughts without getting attached to them. If you notice your mind racing or catastrophizing, step back and ask, is this thought helping me, or is it making the situation worse? Acknowledge your triggers. We've talked about triggers, but self-awareness means being honest about them. Recognize which situations consistently cause you to lose control. If you can admit your triggers, you can prepare for them. Track your emotional patterns. Self-awareness improves when you keep track of your emotional patterns. After a reactive situation, reflect on what happened and why. What triggered you? How did you feel? What could you have done differently? Over time, you'll start to see patterns in your behavior, and that awareness gives you the power to change them. Practice mindfulness. Mindfulness is one of the best tools for building self-awareness. It trains you to stay present and observe your thoughts and emotions without judgment. Mindfulness teaches you to create space between your feelings and reactions, making choosing a response easier than defaulting to reactivity. Self-awareness is your first line of defense against reactivity. It allows you to catch yourself before you spiral out of control. Without self-awareness, you're at the mercy of your emotions, reacting to whatever comes your way. But with self-awareness, You have the power to pause, reflect, and respond intelligently. Reactivity is instinctual, but responding is a skill. The more you understand reactivity's biological, emotional, and mental aspects, the better equipped you are to shift from impulsive reactions to thoughtful responses. It's not about eliminating emotions, it's about learning how to manage them to benefit you rather than sabotage you. By mastering stress, recognizing triggers, and training your brain to pause before reacting, you gain control over how you handle every situation. Self-awareness becomes your anchor, allowing you to navigate emotional storms with clarity and calm. You can't always control what happens to you but can always control how you respond. And that's where your power lies. It's time to stop letting emotions run the show and start taking charge of your reactions, one response at a time. Chapter 4, The Power of Calm. Why calmness is crucial for mental clarity. Let's get something straight, calmness isn't just a luxury, it's a necessity. You're fooling yourself if you think you can make intelligent decisions while wound up, stressed, or angry. Mental clarity only comes when your mind is calm. Without calm, you're clouded, distracted, and reactionary. You're not thinking clearly, you're just surviving. Calmness is the foundation of focus, decision-making, and problem-solving. When you're calm, your mind can operate at its highest level. You can see all angles of a situation, process information logically, and make decisions based on reason, not emotions. Calmness creates the mental space to evaluate, think critically, and respond effectively. Here's the hard truth: stress destroys clarity. When stressed, your brain is flooded with cortisol, a hormone that narrows your focus and blocks rational thought. You become fixated on the problem before you and lose sight of the bigger picture. Without calm, you're stuck in a reactive state. You're not solving the problem, you're just fighting to keep your head above water. If you want mental clarity, you must master the art of calmness. It's not about ignoring your emotions or pretending that stress doesn't exist. It's about learning how to center yourself so that stress doesn't take over. The calm mind is the powerful mind. Without it, you're playing at half capacity. Understanding your nervous system. To harness the power of calm, you must understand what's happening in your body. Your nervous system controls your mental state, and calmness is impossible if you're constantly in fight or flight mode. Understanding how your nervous system works is the key to managing stress and cultivating calm. Your nervous system has two primary branches. The sympathetic nervous system, SNS, this is your fight or flight system. It's responsible for your body's immediate reactions to stress or danger. When activated, the SNS releases hormones like adrenaline and cortisol, which prepare your body to respond to a threat. Your heart rate increases, your muscles tense up, and your mind becomes hyper-focused on survival. This is useful in life-threatening situations, but it leads to stress and reactivity in daily life. The parasympathetic nervous system, PNS, this is your rest and digest system. It's responsible for calming your body down after a stressful situation. When the PNS is activated, your heart rate slows, breathing deepens, and your mind relaxes. This is where calmness comes from. When your PNS is in control, you can think, respond rationally, and maintain focus. Here's the issue: most people are stuck in SNS mode. They're constantly stressed, anxious, and reactive because their fight or flight system is always on. This strains both your body and mind, making it impossible to stay calm and focused. The key to cultivating calmness is learning how to activate your PNS and shift your body from reactive to relaxed. The role of breathwork in cultivating calm. Breathwork is the most powerful tool for controlling your nervous system and calming your mind. Breathing directly influences whether your body stays in fight or flight mode or shifts into rest and digest mode. Master your breath, and you master your mind. Breathwork is so effective because it's the only autonomic function you can control. Your heart rate, digestion, and other bodily functions happen automatically, but breathing is different. You can control how fast or slow you breathe, giving you direct access to your nervous system. When you breathe deeply and slowly, you signal to your brain that it's time to relax. This activates your parasympathetic nervous system, calming your body and mind. In contrast, shallow, rapid breathing keeps your sympathetic nervous system engaged, which keeps you in a state of stress and anxiety. Let's be clear, if you're not managing your breath, you're not managing your stress. Breathwork is the fastest way to bring yourself back to a state of calm, no matter how intense the situation. It's simple, effective, and requires no special tools, just your breath. Here are a few essential breathwork techniques to cultivate calm. Diaphragmatic breathing, belly breathing. This is the foundation of calm breathing. You engage your diaphragm instead of shallow chest breathing, allowing your belly to rise and fall with each breath. This type of breathing activates your parasympathetic nervous system, slowing your heart rate and calming your mind. Practice breathing deeply into your belly for a count of 4, holding for a count of 4, and exhaling for a count of 4. Box breathing. Box breathing is a structured breathing technique used by Navy SEALs and elite athletes to maintain calm under pressure. Inhale for 4 counts, hold your breath, exhale, and hold again for 4 counts. Repeat the cycle for several minutes. Box breathing regulates your breath, giving you complete control over your nervous system. 4-7-8 breathing. This is another simple but powerful technique. Inhale through your nose for 4 counts, hold your breath for 7 counts, and exhale slowly through your mouth for 8 counts. The extended exhale activates the parasympathetic nervous system, promoting deep relaxation and mental clarity. This technique is handy when you're feeling overwhelmed or anxious. Alternate nostril breathing. This ancient practice balances your nervous system and calms your mind. Use your thumb to close one nostril and inhale through the other. Then, switch sides, exhaling through the opposite nostril. Continue alternating for several minutes. This practice is excellent for balancing emotions and centering your mind in stressful situations. Breathwork is the gateway to calm. When you control your breath, you control your state of mind. It's a simple yet potent tool you can use anytime, anywhere, to bring yourself back to the center. The next time you feel stress creeping in, don't wait, start controlling your breath and watch your calm return. The power of calm in action. Let's discuss how to apply calmness in real-life situations. It's one thing to practice calmness in controlled environments like meditation, but it's another to maintain it in the heat of the moment. That's where the real power of calm comes into play, staying composed when the pressure is on. In conflict. Calmness is your greatest weapon in any conflict. When you stay calm, you gain control over the situation. You can think, listen effectively, and respond rationally. When the other person is emotional and reactive, your calm demeanor gives you the upper hand. Remember, the person who stays calm wins. Under pressure. Whether dealing with deadlines, high-stakes decisions, or overwhelming tasks, calmness lets you stay focused. While others crumble under pressure, your calm state keeps you grounded. You can prioritize tasks, make clear decisions, and execute effectively without being distracted by stress or anxiety. During crisis. In a crisis, everyone looks to the person who remains calm. When things are falling apart, calmness brings stability and order. It allows you to assess the situation objectively, find solutions, and lead others through the chaos. In moments of crisis, calmness isn't just a personal asset, it's a leadership quality. Creating a calm environment in daily life. If you want to master calmness, start with your environment. Your surroundings have a direct impact on your mental state. You can't expect to stay calm if you're constantly surrounded by chaos, clutter, or distractions. Your environment either supports your calm or destroys it. Creating a calm environment isn't about being a perfectionist, it's about being intentional. It would be best to design your surroundings to reduce stress and enhance focus. This isn't just about physical spaces, either. It applies to your digital environment, the people you spend time with, and your routines. Here's how to create a calm environment. Declutter your space. Physical clutter leads to mental clutter. When your surroundings are messy and disorganized, your mind follows suit. Start by cleaning up the spaces where you spend the most time. This could be your desk, your home, or your car. A clear space creates a clear mind. Eliminate unnecessary noise. Noise is one of the biggest culprits of stress and distraction. You'll never find mental peace if loud or chaotic sounds constantly surround you. Invest in noise-canceling headphones or create a quiet zone to retreat when you need to focus or relax. Set digital boundaries. Your digital environment is just as important as your physical one. Constant notifications, social media distractions, and endless emails create mental noise. Set boundaries for your digital consumption. Turn off unnecessary notifications, limit social media time, and establish tech-free zones in your daily routine. Surround yourself with calm people. The people you surround yourself with affect your emotional state. If you're constantly around negative, stressed, or chaotic individuals, their energy will seep into your own. Seek calm, grounded individuals who enhance your peace rather than destroy it. You become the company you keep. Incorporate nature. Nature has a calming effect on the mind and body. Whether you spend time outdoors or simply bring plants into your home or workspace, nature reduces stress and promotes calmness. Incorporate natural elements into your environment wherever possible. Creating a calm environment isn't a one-time task, it's a daily commitment. Your surroundings should support your mental state, not sabotage it. If your environment is chaotic, don't be surprised when your mind follows suit. Take control of your surroundings, and you will have a much easier time staying calm. The relationship between calm and focus. Here's the reality: you can only focus if you're calm. Focus requires mental clarity, which only comes when your mind is at peace. If you're constantly distracted, stressed, or anxious, your brain can't focus on anything for an extended period. Calmness is the foundation of focus. When your mind is calm, it's free to concentrate on the task at hand without being pulled in 100 different directions. Calmness eliminates mental noise, allowing you to focus on what truly matters. Think about it: have you ever tried to focus when stressed or anxious? It's nearly impossible. Your thoughts are scattered, you're overwhelmed, and even simple tasks feel like monumental challenges. But when you're calm, focus comes naturally. You're able to work with precision, clarity, and effectiveness. Focus thrives in a calm mind. Here's how you can strengthen that connection. Start with calmness. Before diving into any task, take a moment to center yourself. Whether through breathwork, a short meditation, or a few moments of quiet reflection, calming your mind before you begin ensures that you start from a place of mental clarity. Eliminate distractions. You can only stay calm and focused if you're constantly interrupted. Identify the most common distractions in your environment, your phone, background noise, or interruptions from others, and eliminate them before you begin working. Single tasking over multitasking. Multitasking destroys both calmness and focus. When you try to juggle multiple tasks at once, your brain becomes overwhelmed, and the quality of your work suffers. Instead, focus on one task at a time. By giving each task your full attention, you'll work more efficiently and with greater precision. Practice mindful focus. Mindful focus means being fully present in whatever you're doing. Instead of letting your mind wander or stress about the next task, bring your attention back to the present moment. If you notice your thoughts drifting, acknowledge it and refocus on what's in front of you. Use breaks to recharge. Calmness and focus are sustainable when you give your brain time to rest. Incorporate short breaks into your routine to recharge your mental energy. This prevents burnout and ensures you can maintain calmness and focus throughout the day. Here's the bottom line: calmness and focus are inseparable. You can only have one with the other. If you are struggling to focus, it's a sign that your mind isn't calm. Focus starts with calmness, and when you master calmness, focus becomes effortless. How to stay calm during conflict. Conflict is inevitable. You will face conflict, whether at work, in relationships, or even with yourself. And here's the thing: how you handle conflict says a lot about your ability to stay calm under pressure. Anyone can remain calm when things are going smoothly, but absolute mastery comes when you can maintain calm in the face of conflict. Staying calm during conflict isn't about suppressing your emotions or avoiding confrontation. It's about handling the situation with clarity and control rather than letting your feelings hijack the conversation. Here's how to stay calm during conflict. Stay grounded in facts, not emotions. Emotions flare during conflict, but your goal is to keep the conversation grounded in facts. When emotions rise, shift your focus to what's valid and objective. What are the facts of the situation? How can you address the issue without getting caught up in feelings or assumptions? Listen to understand, not to respond. In conflict, most people listen just long enough to prepare their rebuttal, which only escalates the tension. Instead, listen to truly understand the other person's point of view. When you focus on understanding, not reacting, you can diffuse the situation and approach it from a place of calm. Pause before responding. Never react immediately during a conflict. Take a breath. Pause. Give yourself a moment to gather your thoughts before you respond. Pausing can prevent reactive outbursts and help you maintain control over the conversation. Choose your battles wisely. Only some conflicts are worth engaging in. Ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Will this matter in the long run? Sometimes, the calmest and most strategic move is to walk away from a conflict that isn't worth your time or emotional investment. Detach from personal attacks. People often make personal attacks during conflict, but you don't have to take them personally. Detach yourself from the insults or criticism and focus on the issue. When you refuse to take things personally, you remove the emotional charge from the conversation and can stay calm. Stay focused on solutions. Conflict should be about resolving an issue, not winning an argument. Shift the focus from who's proper to what can be done to fix the problem. A solution-focused mindset keeps the conversation productive and reduces emotional tension. Keep your body language neutral. Your body language communicates as much as your words. Keep your posture open, your facial expressions neutral, and your tone calm. Aggressive body language will escalate the conflict, even if your words are calm. Acknowledge the other person's perspective. People become more defensive when they feel unheard or dismissed. Acknowledge the other person's perspective, even if you disagree with it. Simply saying, "I understand where you're coming from," can diffuse much tension and create space for calm communication. Take a break if necessary. If emotions are running too high and the conversation becomes unproductive, don't hesitate to suggest taking a break. Sometimes, a little distance is needed to regain calmness and approach the issue with fresh eyes. Use I statements. Instead of pointing fingers or blaming the other person, use I statements to express your feelings. For example, say, "I feel frustrated when," rather than, "you always." This keeps the conversation focused on your experience without triggering defensiveness. Stay solution-oriented. Keep your eye on the goal, resolution. Calm people focus on finding a solution, not proving a point or asserting dominance. When you approach conflict to resolve it, you'll stay quiet and productive rather than reactive. Reflect on the conflict later. After the conflict, take some time to reflect on what happened. What triggered the disagreement? How did you handle it? What could you have done differently? This reflection will help you handle future conflicts more calmly and clearly. Using visualization to maintain calm. Calmness isn't just a state of mind, it's a skill. And like any skill, you can train it. One of the most effective tools for maintaining calm, especially in high-pressure situations, is visualization. This isn't some soft or mystical practice, it's a mental exercise used by elite athletes, military personnel, and high performers to stay composed in the face of stress. Visualization is mentally rehearsing how you want to react in a specific situation. By visualizing yourself remaining calm, centered, and in control, you train your brain to adopt that state when the pressure is on. This is how you prepare yourself for challenging situations before they even happen. Here's how to use visualization to stay calm. Imagine the stressful scenario. Start by picturing the situation that usually causes you stress or anxiety. Whether it's an upcoming presentation, a difficult conversation, or a high-stakes decision, get specific. Imagine the details as vividly as possible. What does the room look like? Who's there? What's being said? Visualize your calm response. Instead of visualizing the chaos or stress that usually happens, focus on your ideal reaction. See yourself maintaining calmness. Watch yourself breathing deeply, thinking clearly, and responding with composure. Visualize your body language, relaxed shoulders, calm facial expression, steady voice. Feel the calmness. Don't just see it, feel it. As you visualize yourself staying calm, pay attention to the sensations in your body. Imagine how it feels to remain grounded in the middle of chaos. Feel your breath slowing down, your mind clearing, and your emotions settling. The more accurate you make it, the more effective it will be. Repeat the process. Visualization is about repetition. The more you mentally rehearse your calm response, the more automatic it will become. You're training your brain to default to calmness, no matter the situation. Over time, your brain will associate those stressful triggers with calm, controlled behavior instead of panic or stress. Here's the truth: visualization isn't just for preparing yourself, it's for rewiring your brain. When you visualize calmness, you build new neural pathways that make calmness your go-to response. It's like running a mental simulation of how you want to behave. Over time, it becomes second nature. How calmness enhances communication. Let's be clear, if you can't stay calm, you can't communicate effectively. Communication is more than just the words you say, it's how you tell others, listen to them, and respond to them. When you're not calm, your communication is reactive, emotional, and often misunderstood. Calmness enhances every aspect of communication. It allows you to listen without judgment, speak clearly, and handle difficult conversations gracefully. In other words, calmness turns you into a more effective communicator. Here's how calmness elevates your communication skills. Listening without interrupting. When you're calm, you're not just waiting for your turn to speak. You're fully present, listening to the other person's words, tone, and body language. Calm listening isn't about planning your rebuttal but truly understanding what the other person is saying. This builds trust and makes the conversation more productive. Speaking clearly and confidently. When your mind is calm, your thoughts are organized, and your words reflect that clarity. You speak with purpose without the need to rush or over-explain yourself. People are more likely to listen to someone who speaks calmly and confidently than someone who is rushed or emotional. Reducing emotional reactions. Calmness stops emotional outbursts before they happen. When calm, you're not triggered by someone else's tone or criticism. Instead of reacting defensively, you can respond thoughtfully. This diffuses tension and keeps the conversation on track. Navigating difficult conversations. Calmness is your shield in difficult conversations. Your calm demeanor keeps the conversation grounded when the other person is emotional or aggressive. It prevents escalation and keeps both parties focused on finding a solution instead of trading emotional blows. Reading between the lines. Calmness gives you the mental clarity to pick up on subtle cues in the conversation. You can read between the lines, understanding what the other person isn't saying but clearly feels. This level of awareness makes your communication more effective because you're responding to both the words and the emotions behind them. Pausing before responding. When you're calm, you're comfortable with silence. You don't feel the need to fill every pause with words. This gives you the space to think before speaking, ensuring your response is measured and thoughtful. It also shows the other person that you genuinely consider what they've said. Calmness transforms communication. It allows you to connect with others on a deeper level, avoid misunderstandings, and handle even the most challenging conversations with grace. Without calmness, communication becomes reactive, defensive, and often counterproductive. The ripple effect, how your calm impacts others. Here's something most people overlook: your calmness doesn't affect not just you but everyone around you. Calmness has a ripple effect. When you remain calm in a chaotic situation, your energy influences others. They pick up on your calm demeanor, which also helps them stay composed. This isn't just a theory, it's a psychological phenomenon. Humans are wired to mirror the emotional states of those around them. If you stay calm under pressure, others will naturally mirror that calmness, whether they realize it or not. This makes calmness a powerful leadership tool. Here's how your calmness impacts others. You set the tone. Whether you realize it or not, you set the emotional tone of the situation. If you're anxious, everyone around you will pick up on that energy and become nervous. But if you stay calm, you set the tone for everyone else. In stressful situations, people look to the most relaxed person in the room for guidance. You de-escalate conflict. Calmness is contagious in conflict. When you remain calm during an argument or tense situation, it signals to the other person that there's no need to escalate. They'll naturally lower their emotional intensity to match your calm. In this way, your calmness prevents the situation from spiraling out of control. You foster trust and confidence. People trust and follow those who remain calm under pressure. When others see that you're not easily rattled, they trust your judgment and feel more confident in your leadership. Calmness builds credibility because it shows you can handle whatever comes your way without losing control. You create a safe space for communication. When calm, you create a safe space for others to express themselves. They feel heard and understood because they're not met with judgment or emotional reactivity. This encourages open, honest communication and strengthens relationships. You inspire others to stay calm. Your calmness sets an example for others to follow. When people see you maintaining your composure in difficult situations, it inspires them to do the same. Over time, this ripple effect helps create a calmer, more focused environment in personal and professional settings. You build resilience in teams. Calm leadership builds resilient teams. When your team sees that you can stay quiet in the face of challenges, they feel more secure and are less likely to panic when things go wrong. This calmness strengthens the team's ability to handle adversity, making them more effective. The ripple effect of your calmness is undeniable. Whether leading a team, managing a conflict, or simply interacting with others, your calm demeanor influences how others respond. When you maintain calmness, you elevate the entire situation, and that's the mark of authentic leadership. Calmness isn't just a trait, it's your superpower. It's the foundation for clear thinking, effective communication, and strong leadership. It influences every area of your life, from handling stress to interacting with others. And when you master calmness, you become unshakable. The ability to remain calm benefits you and creates a ripple effect that impacts everyone around you. You set the tone, guide the energy, and lead by example. Calmness is a force multiplier. It makes you more effective, more trusted, and more resilient. But here's the thing, calmness isn't something you stumble into. It's something you build. Daily practice starts with your breath, extends to your environment, and shows up in every conversation. If you want to thrive in a chaotic world, calmness is your edge. Cultivate it, protect it, and watch as it transforms your life from the inside out. Chapter 5, Decision Making Under Pressure. Strategies to clarify your mind under pressure. Let's be honest, most people crumble when the pressure's on. The reason? Their mind is clouded by stress, fear, and uncertainty. You're doomed to make bad decisions if you don't know how to clear your mind under pressure. Pressure is inevitable, but you don't have to let it dominate your thinking. The difference between those who succeed and those who fail often comes down to one skill: the ability to clarify your mind when it matters most. When your mind is cluttered, you can't see the situation for what it is. You get lost in the chaos, and your decisions suffer. You react based on emotions rather than facts and overlook the critical details that make or break your choices. The key is learning to create mental space, even when everything around you is chaotic. Here's how to clear your mind under pressure and make sound decisions. Pause and breathe. The first thing you need to do when you're under pressure is pause. It sounds counterintuitive, but your first instinct is to act immediately in high-stress situations. Don't. Take a breath, slow down, and give yourself a moment to think. Deep breathing calms your nervous system, reduces stress hormones, and clears mental fog. A clear mind is a calm mind. Simplify the problem. Complexity clouds judgment. When you're overwhelmed by too many variables, your mind shuts down. Instead of tackling everything at once, Break the problem down into its simplest components. Ask yourself, what's the core issue? What's the most important thing I need to address right now? Focusing on one thing at a time gives you clarity and prevents paralysis by analysis. Shift your focus. Pressure amplifies the problem in your mind, making it seem more significant than it is. Shift your focus from the issue to the solution. Instead of obsessing over what's going wrong, ask yourself, what can I do to solve this? What's the best course of action, given the circumstances? A solution-oriented mindset clears the mental clutter and directs your energy toward productive action. Ask the right questions. Your decision-making depends on the quality of the questions you ask. Good questions cut through confusion and get to the heart of the issue. Ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen? What's the opportunity here? What facts am I missing? You force your brain to think, even under pressure, by asking the right questions. Get perspective. When you're stressed, your perspective narrows. You start focusing on immediate concerns, losing sight of the bigger picture. Step back and ask yourself, how does this decision fit into the larger context? Will this matter in a week, a month, or a year? Widening your perspective clarifies your thinking and reduces the emotional intensity of the situation. Limit information overload. More information can be necessary to avoid paralyzing you in high-pressure situations. Don't try to process every detail at once. Instead, focus on the most critical information, the facts that directly influence your decision. Cut out irrelevant data and background noise. Clarity comes from simplifying your focus, not expanding it. Visualize success. Mental clarity isn't just about analyzing the situation, it's about seeing the outcome you want. Visualization sharpens your focus by forcing you to picture what success looks like. Close your eyes and imagine the best possible outcome. What does it feel like? What steps did you take to get there? Visualization creates a mental roadmap that guides your decisions under pressure. Trust your preparation. When you're under pressure, doubt creeps in. You start second-guessing yourself and questioning your abilities. But here's the truth, if you've done the work, you're prepared. Trust in your skills, your knowledge, and your experience. Your preparation gives you the clarity and confidence to navigate high-pressure situations. Stay in the present. Pressure magnifies the future and clouds the present. You start worrying about what might go wrong or how things could unravel. But the only moment that matters is now. Stay grounded in the present by focusing on the immediate decision in front of you. Transparent decision-making happens now, not in the what if. Focus on what you can control. Pressure often makes you focus on things outside of your control. This is wasted energy. Instead, identify the factors you have direct influence over and concentrate on them. When you focus on what you can control, you regain clarity and reduce stress. Mental clarity under pressure isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. The strategies above aren't optional, they're essential if you want to make intelligent, strategic decisions when the heat is on. Without clarity, you're flying blind. Prioritizing information in high-stress situations. When you're under stress, your brain's ability to process information goes into overdrive. Suddenly, every piece of data seems equally essential, and you find yourself drowning in information overload. But here's the hard truth, not all information is equal. Some details are critical to your decision, while others are just noise. The ability to prioritize information separates influential decision makers from those who fold under pressure. If you treat every piece of information equally important, you'll need to figure out where to focus your attention. The key is learning to filter out the irrelevant details and zero in on what truly matters. Here's how to prioritize information under pressure. Identify the key variables. Every decision has a few key variables that drive the outcome. Your job is to identify those variables quickly and focus on them. Ask yourself, what factors will directly influence the success or failure of this decision? What information do I need to make an informed choice? The rest is secondary. Categorize the information. Once you've gathered all the information, categorize it based on importance. Break it down into 3 categories: critical, practical, and irrelevant. Critical information directly impacts your decision. Useful information supports your decision but is optional. Irrelevant information is just noise, discard it. Use the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule, Pareto principle, applies to decision making under pressure. 80% of your results typically come from 20% of your efforts. Identify the 20% of information that will lead to the best decision. Prioritize that and let go of the rest. Don't waste time processing unnecessary details when you're under stress. Don't get stuck in analysis paralysis. Overanalyzing information is the enemy of clarity. When you spend too much time sifting through irrelevant data, you freeze. In high-stress situations, time is of the essence. Make a decision based on the most important information available, even if it's incomplete. Accept it and move forward. You'll rarely have perfect information in a pressure-driven situation. Filter for relevance. Not all information applies to every situation. Some facts are helpful in one context but irrelevant in another. As you gather data, constantly ask, how relevant is this to the problem? If it doesn't directly affect your decision, put it aside. Your clarity depends on your ability to stay laser-focused on what matters. Focus on facts, not assumptions. In high-stress situations, assumptions are dangerous. You don't have time to correct faulty assumptions later. Ensure you prioritize factual, verifiable information over what you think might be true. Facts give you a clear foundation, assumptions lead to confusion. Rank the urgency of each piece of information. Some information will be time-sensitive in a high-pressure situation, while other data can wait. Rank the urgency of the information you're processing. What needs to be addressed immediately? What can wait until later? This helps you stay organized and focused, even when time is tight. Discard the irrelevant. Cut through the clutter. The faster you can discard irrelevant information, the faster you can get to the heart of the issue. Let it go if something doesn't directly contribute to the decision-making process. Your mind only has so much capacity, don't waste it on things that don't matter. Keep the end goal in mind. Your ultimate goal should always guide your decision-making. As you prioritize information, ask yourself, how does this information move me closer to my goal? If it doesn't, it's not a priority. Leverage expertise. If you're under pressure and overwhelmed by information, lean on the expertise of others. Sometimes, prioritizing information means knowing who to trust. Consult with people with the knowledge and experience to help you filter out what's important. In high-stress situations, you don't have the luxury of processing everything. It would help if you were ruthless in your prioritization. Focus on what's essential, discard the rest, and confidently decide. The importance of objectivity in pressure-driven decisions. Pressure clouds judgment. Emotions run wild when the stakes are high, and objectivity goes out the window. But here's the reality, emotionally driven decisions are usually bad decisions. If you want to make smart choices under pressure, you must stay objective. Objectivity is about separating emotions from facts. It's about making decisions based on logic, reason, and evidence, not fear, excitement, or stress. When you lose your objectivity, you make reactive, short-sighted, and often regretful decisions. Here's why objectivity is critical in pressure-driven decisions. Emotions distort reality. Under pressure, emotions like fear, anxiety, or excitement distort your perception of reality. You start to see things through an emotional lens, which clouds your judgment. Objectivity brings you back to the facts, ensuring that your decisions are grounded in reality, not how you feel now. Objectivity reduces bias. When you're stressed, your cognitive biases become more pronounced. Confirmation bias, for example, makes you cling to information that supports your preconceived notions. Objectivity forces you to challenge your assumptions and consider all the evidence, even if it's uncomfortable. It promotes long-term thinking. Pressure often leads to short-term thinking. You make decisions based on immediate relief rather than long-term success. Objectivity helps you take a step back and think about the broader consequences of your decisions. It forces you to consider how today's choices will impact the future. It prevents overreaction. People tend to overreact in high-pressure situations. They make drastic decisions based on temporary stress or emotions. Objectivity prevents overreaction by encouraging a measured, thoughtful approach. Instead of reacting emotionally, you respond logically. It encourages evidence-based decisions. Objective decision-making is rooted in evidence. When you're objective, you base your decisions on facts, data, and proven outcomes, not gut feelings or instincts. This leads to better, more reliable decisions under pressure. It reduces regret. Emotional decisions often lead to regret. You act impulsively, and later, when the pressure subsides, you realize you made the wrong choice. Objectivity reduces regret because it ensures that your decisions are well thought out and based on logic rather than fleeting emotions. Here's how to stay objective under pressure. Separate facts from feelings. When deciding, consciously separate what you feel from what you know. Focus on the facts of the situation and base your decision on those facts, not your emotional response. Take a step back. When emotions are running high, take a step back from the situation. Give yourself space to gain perspective. This distance allows you to think more clearly and make decisions based on logic rather than immediate emotions. Seek outside input. Objectivity can be hard to maintain independently, especially in high-pressure situations. Consult with a trusted colleague or mentor who can provide an unbiased perspective. Their input can help you stay grounded in facts rather than emotions. Use a decision-making framework. Rely on a structured decision-making framework to guide you. This forces you to objectively evaluate all aspects of the situation rather than jumping to conclusions based on your feelings. The role of confidence in decision-making. Let's cut to the chase. Confidence is the backbone of good decision-making. If you don't believe in your ability to make a decision, you'll hesitate, overanalyze, and second-guess yourself into paralysis. Indecision is a decision in itself and one of the worst things you can make under pressure. Confidence doesn't mean you'll always be correct, but it does mean you'll act decisively, which is critical in high-pressure situations. Here's the truth: people follow confidence, not perfection. A confident decision moves you forward, even if it turns out wrong. A lack of confidence leaves you stuck, unable to take action when it matters most. Here's how confidence impacts decision-making under pressure. Confidence reduces hesitation. When you're confident, you act. You don't spend endless hours overthinking every possible outcome. You trust yourself enough to make a choice and move forward. Without confidence, you'll find yourself stuck, unable to pull the trigger when it counts. Confidence inspires others. People follow leaders who exude confidence, especially in high-stress situations. Your confidence reassures others that the situation is under control and encourages them to trust your decisions. Whether leading a team or navigating personal challenges, your confidence sets the tone for everyone around you. Confidence helps you own mistakes. No one makes perfect decisions all the time. The difference is that confident people can admit when they're wrong and adjust course. They don't spiral into self-doubt when a decision doesn't go as planned. They take ownership and move on, using the experience as a lesson for future decisions. Confidence keeps you calm. Confidence and calmness go hand in hand. When you trust yourself, you stay calm under pressure because you know you can handle whatever comes your way. This calmness keeps your mind clear and focused, leading to better decisions. So, how do you build confidence in your decision-making? Trust your knowledge and experience. You've been preparing for this moment your whole life, even if you don't realize it. Trust your accumulated knowledge and experience. You have the tools to make the right decision, but you must believe in your abilities. Make small decisions quickly. Confidence builds through practice. Start by making smaller, low-stakes decisions quickly and decisively. This will build the muscle of confident decision-making, so when the bigger decisions come, you'll be ready. Learn from past decisions. Confidence comes from experience. Reflect on past decisions, especially the ones that went well. What did you do right? How can you apply that same thinking to your current situation? Every successful decision adds to your confidence bank. Take responsibility. When you take responsibility for the outcomes of your decisions, good or bad, you build trust in yourself. Own the results, and you'll strengthen your confidence in future decisions. Confidence isn't about arrogance or believing you'll always be right. It's about trusting that you can handle whatever happens next. A confident decision maker moves forward while others stand still. How group dynamics impact decisions under pressure. Making decisions alone is hard enough, but when you add group dynamics to the mix, the stakes increase. In group settings, the pressure to conform, the fear of standing out, and the influence of others can derail even the best decision-making process. Here's the reality: groups sometimes make better decisions. In fact, they often make worse decisions because of groupthink, power dynamics, and the need for consensus. If you don't understand how group dynamics affect decisions under pressure, you're setting yourself up for failure. Here's how group dynamics play a role in pressure-driven decisions. Groupthink crushes innovation. Groupthink happens when the desire for harmony and agreement overrides critical thinking. People in a group may avoid voicing dissenting opinions to maintain peace, leading to poor decisions. Under pressure, the risk of groupthink increases because people want to resolve the situation as quickly as possible. The loudest voice isn't always the smartest. In group settings, the most vocal person often has an outsized influence on the decision, even if their ideas aren't the best. Under pressure, the group may follow the loudest voice simply to avoid conflict or speed up the process. This dangerous trap can lead to impulsive and poorly thought out decisions. Diffusion of responsibility. In group dynamics, people tend to spread out responsibility, assuming someone else will make the right call. This leads to inaction and a lack of ownership, especially under pressure. If everyone assumes someone else will take charge, nothing happens, or worse, a bad decision is made because no one steps up. Power dynamics play a role. People with authority in a group setting tend to influence decisions, even if they're not the most qualified to make them. Under pressure, people defer to authority figures, even when their judgment may be flawed. It's critical to recognize how power dynamics shape group decisions and to challenge them when necessary. How to make better group decisions under pressure. Encourage open dialogue. Create an environment where people feel comfortable voicing their opinions, especially if they disagree. This can be difficult in high-pressure situations, but it's essential for avoiding groupthink. Encourage every member to share their perspective. Appoint a devil's advocate. Designate someone in the group to challenge the consensus. This forces the group to think critically and consider alternative viewpoints, even when the pressure is on to make a quick decision. Focus on the best idea, not the loudest person. Ensure the group focuses on the quality of the idea rather than who is presenting it. In high-pressure situations, it's easy to follow the most confident or loudest person, but that doesn't mean they have the best solution. Push the group to evaluate ideas based on their merits, not delivery. Clarify roles and responsibilities. Avoid diffusion of responsibility by ensuring everyone knows their role in the decision-making process. Who's responsible for gathering information? Who's making the final call? Clear roles prevent the chaos of indecision under pressure. Group dynamics can make or break a decision under pressure. If you're unaware of the influence of groupthink, power dynamics, and diffusion of responsibility, you'll find yourself caught in a web of bad decisions. Stay alert and keep the group focused on logic, facts, and clear roles. Handling the fear of making the wrong decision. Fear paralyzes decision-making under pressure. The fear of making the wrong decision is one of the most common reasons people hesitate or avoid making a choice altogether. But here's the harsh truth: avoiding a decision is worse than making the wrong one. Inaction leads to missed opportunities, stalled progress, and wasted time. Fear of failure clouds judgment and prevents you from seeing the full picture. When you're afraid of making the wrong decision, you become hyper-focused on the negative outcomes rather than considering the potential benefits. This fear leads to indecision, hesitation, and, often, missed chances. Here's how to handle the fear of making the wrong decision. Accept that there's no perfect choice. Perfectionism feeds fear. You'll never have a decision where every outcome is guaranteed positive. Accepting that imperfection is part of the process frees you from the fear of failure. There's no perfect decision, only the best decision based on the information you have. Focus on the opportunity, not the risk. Fear makes you focus on what could go wrong. Instead, shift your mindset to focus on what could go right. What opportunities are you missing out on by hesitating? What benefits could come from taking decisive action? Shifting your focus from risk to opportunity minimizes the fear of failure. Break the decision into smaller steps. Fear often comes from feeling overwhelmed by the decision's weight. Break it down into smaller, more manageable steps. Make one small decision at a time, and let those incremental decisions build toward a larger outcome. Smaller decisions feel less risky, which reduces fear. Trust the process, not the outcome. You can't control the future, but you can control the process you use to make decisions. If you're confident in your decision-making process, trust that you've done everything possible to make the best choice. Focus on making decisions based on solid reasoning and evidence, not guaranteeing the outcome. Learn to live with mistakes. Mistakes are inevitable. The fear of making the wrong decision comes from a perfectionist mindset. Instead, embrace mistakes as part of the learning process. Every wrong decision is an opportunity to learn and grow. The only absolute failure is not deciding at all. Fear is natural, but if you let it control your decision-making, you'll always be stuck. The only way to conquer fear is by taking action, even when unsure of the outcome. Remember, making a decision is better than making no decision. Using intuition when time is short. In high-pressure situations, you often need more time. When time is short, and the pressure is mounting, sometimes the best tool you have is your intuition. Here's the thing, intuition isn't a magical, mystical force, it's your brain processing information based on your experience and knowledge. It's a fundamental tool that can guide you when quick decisions are required. When time is short, and you need to act fast, trusting your gut can save you. But let's be clear, intuition isn't a substitute for logic and evidence. It's a supplement. Your brain recognizes patterns that your conscious mind may not immediately grasp. Here's how to use your intuition effectively under pressure. Trust your experience. Your past experiences inform your intuition. The more experience you have in a particular area, the more reliable your intuition becomes. If you face similar situations, your brain has already built a library of patterns and responses you can draw on. Trust that experience when time is short. Use intuition as a guide, not the final decision. Intuition is a starting point, only part of the process. Use your gut feeling to guide you in the right direction, but back it up with logic, evidence, and reasoning. When time is short, let your intuition narrow your options quickly, and then apply logic to make the final call. Listen to your body. Intuition often manifests in your body before it reaches your mind. Pay attention to physical cues, tightness in your chest, a sense of unease, or a sudden calm. These signals can guide you toward or away from a decision. Your body knows more than you think. Don't overthink it. The more you overanalyze, the less effective your intuition becomes. Intuition works best when you give it space to operate. When time is short, trust your gut and move forward. The longer you hesitate, the more likely you are to lose clarity. Refine your intuition over time. Like any skill, intuition gets sharper with practice. Reflect on your intuitive decisions after the fact. Were they right? Where did you go wrong? Refining your intuition will improve its accuracy over time, making it a more reliable tool in high-pressure situations. In fast-moving situations, your intuition can be your greatest ally. It's not about abandoning logic, it's about using your instincts to make quick, informed decisions when the clock is ticking. Trust your gut, but don't let it be your only guide. Pressure doesn't have to break you, it can sharpen you. The ability to make clear, confident, and decisive choices when the stakes are high separates strong leaders and successful individuals from those who crumble. It's not about being fearless or perfect, it's about using the tools and strategies to make the best possible decision, even when the heat is on. Trust your process, prioritize the right information, and don't let fear paralyze you. When time is short, please rely on your intuition but back it up with logic. With practice, you'll learn to thrive under pressure and make clear, confident, and purposeful decisions. Pressure isn't going away, but your ability to handle it can make all the difference. Chapter 6: The Intersection of Calm and Logic. How calmness enhances logical thinking. Let's get straight to the point. If you're not calm, you're not thinking logically. Calmness is the foundation of clear, rational thought. When your mind is clouded by stress, anxiety, or frustration, your ability to reason goes out the window. You might think you're being logical, but your judgment is compromised without calm. Calmness allows you to step back, assess the situation without emotional interference, and think critically. It keeps your brain operating, where you can evaluate facts, weigh options, and make decisions that aren't impulsive. Logic and calmness are inseparable. Without calm, your mind is on autopilot, responding to stimuli instead of actively choosing a course of action. Here's why calmness is critical for logical thinking. Clarity of thought. Calmness clears the mental clutter. It gives you the space to think without the interference of overwhelming emotions. When you're calm, your thoughts are organized, allowing you to process information efficiently and focus on what matters most. Objective analysis. Staying calm helps you analyze the situation without bias. Emotional reactions often skew your perspective, but calmness lets you look at the facts objectively. You're not swayed by how you feel, you're focused on what's true. Reduced mental fatigue. Stress drains your mental energy, making it harder to think logically. Calmness preserves your mental stamina, keeping you sharp and clear-headed. When your mind is at ease, it's easier to think critically, even in high-pressure situations. Improved problem solving. Calmness fosters creativity and problem solving. When stressed, the mind becomes rigid, focusing only on immediate concerns. But when calm, the mind is open to new ideas and solutions, allowing the person to approach problems from multiple angles. The bottom line is that calmness enhances logic. If you want to think, make better decisions, and solve problems effectively, you must master the art of staying calm. Recognizing when emotions distort logic. Here's the harsh truth: your emotions can hijack your logic without you even realizing it. Most people think they're being logical when, in reality, their emotions are quietly distorting their judgment. Emotions are powerful. If you're unaware of their influence, they'll steer you off course. The problem with emotional distortion is that it's subtle. You might believe you're making a rational decision, but your logic is compromised if you're angry, anxious, or overly excited. Emotions warp your perception, causing you to prioritize feelings over facts, and that's when bad decisions are made. How do you recognize when emotions are distorting your logic? Here's what to watch for. Emotional reactions masquerading as rational decisions. When you're emotionally charged, your decisions feel justified, even when not. If you find yourself reacting quickly or impulsively, stop. Ask yourself, am I acting on emotion, or am I basing this decision on evidence? If emotions are driving your actions, you're not thinking logically. Overvaluing immediate feelings. When emotions are involved, you tend to overvalue how you feel in the moment and ignore long-term consequences. For example, you might avoid a difficult conversation because it feels uncomfortable, even though logically, it's necessary. Recognize when you're choosing short-term comfort over long-term logic. Confirmation bias. When you're emotionally invested in a certain outcome, you only look for evidence that supports your feelings. This is called confirmation bias. Your logic is compromised if you ignore facts that contradict your emotions or beliefs. True logic requires you to consider all sides, even if they go against your emotional preferences. Heightened stress or anxiety. When you're stressed or anxious, your brain is focused on survival, not logic. Recognize when heightened emotions are narrowing your perspective and making you hyperfocus on worst-case scenarios. Step back and ask yourself, am I basing my decision on logic or fear? Personalizing the situation. Emotions make you take things personally, even when they're not about you. If you're emotionally reactive, you'll interpret situations through a lens of personal offense or blame, which distorts your ability to think logically and objectively. Recognizing when emotions distort your logic is the first step to regaining control. Logic and emotions can coexist, but you must know when your emotions lead you astray. The role of emotional intelligence in logical thought. Let's get something straight: emotional intelligence, EQ, isn't the enemy of logical thinking, it's the key to mastering it. People often make the mistake of thinking that emotions and logic are opposites. They're not. Emotional intelligence enhances your ability to think logically by helping you manage emotions effectively. Emotional intelligence is the ability to understand and manage your own emotions, as well as recognize and influence the feelings of others. When you have high EQ, you're not a slave to your feelings. You're in control, which allows you to think more clearly and logically, even in emotionally charged situations. Here's how emotional intelligence supports logical thought. Self-awareness. When you're emotionally intelligent, you're aware of your emotional state. You can recognize when emotions are creeping in and influencing your decisions. This awareness gives you the power to pause, reflect, and choose logic over emotion. Emotional regulation. High EQ helps you regulate your emotions so they don't interfere with your logic. Instead of letting anger, fear, or excitement drive your decisions, you can manage those feelings and focus on the facts. Emotional regulation is the key to staying calm and thinking clearly in high-pressure situations. Empathy enhances problem solving. Empathy, a key component of emotional intelligence, allows you to understand the emotional drivers behind other people's decisions. This understanding helps you predict behavior, diffuse conflicts, and approach problems with a broader perspective. In short, empathy gives you a logical advantage. Improved communication. When you have high EQ, you can communicate more effectively, especially in emotionally charged situations. You can navigate conversations with logic and reason without letting emotions cloud your judgment or escalate the situation. Balanced decision making. Emotional intelligence doesn't mean ignoring emotions but balancing them with logic. You consider how emotions impact decisions but don't let them override logical reasoning. This balance leads to better outcomes, as both emotional and rational factors are considered. Emotional intelligence is your ally in logical thinking. It helps you manage your emotions, stay calm, and think clearly. Without it, your logic is at risk of being overrun by unchecked emotions. Logical reasoning in emotional situations. Here's the real test of your ability to think logically: can you remain rational during an emotional storm? Most people can think logically when everything is calm, but the moment emotions flare up, the logic goes out the window. Your ability to use logical reasoning in emotional situations separates strong thinkers from impulsive reactors. When emotions are high, your brain's instinct is to react quickly and emotionally. Logical reasoning forces you to slow down, assess the situation, and make decisions based on facts, not feelings. Here's how to apply logical reasoning in emotionally charged situations. Acknowledge the emotion without acting on it. You can't ignore emotions but don't have to act on them. Recognize when you're angry, frustrated, or upset, but resist the urge to react. Instead, step back and ask yourself, what's the logical way to handle this? Focus on the facts. In emotional situations, facts often get lost in the noise. To stay logical, you need to refocus on the facts. What's happening here? What's the truth, separate from how you feel? When you focus on facts, emotions lose their power to distort your thinking. Separate people from problems. In emotionally charged situations, it's easy to make things personal. But logical reasoning requires you to separate the person from the problem. Focus on solving the issue, not assigning blame or getting caught up in personal grievances. Use if-then logic. When emotions run high, use conditional logic to break down the situation. For example, if I react this way, what will happen? If I stay calm and respond thoughtfully, what's the likely outcome? This logical framework helps you step outside the emotional chaos and see the situation more clearly. Delay major decisions. Emotions cloud judgment, especially in high-stakes situations. If possible, delay any major decisions until you've had time to calm down and think things through logically. This prevents you from making impulsive, emotion-driven choices that you might regret later. Logical reasoning is your anchor in emotional situations. When emotions are high, logic keeps you grounded, focused, and controlled. How to strengthen both emotional and logical resilience. Resilience isn't just about bouncing back from adversity. It's about maintaining strength in both emotional and logical thinking, even when things get tough. Most people focus on one or the other, emotional resilience or logical resilience, but the real power comes when you strengthen both. Emotional resilience is your ability to handle stress, setbacks, and emotional challenges without breaking down. Logical resilience is your ability to think clearly and make sound decisions, even under intense pressure. You need both to thrive. Here's how to strengthen both emotional and logical resilience. Practice emotional self-control. The stronger your emotional resilience, the easier it is to think logically in difficult situations. Practice emotional self-control by staying calm when faced with stress, conflict, or disappointment. The more you build this muscle, the less likely you are to let emotions derail your logic. Challenge your thinking. Logical resilience comes from challenging your thought patterns. Don't just accept your first reaction or thought as the right one. Ask yourself, is there a better way to think about this? What evidence supports my thinking? You build the strength to think logically by consistently challenging your thought process, even when emotions are high. Cultivate a growth mindset. A growth mindset enhances both emotional and logical resilience. When you view challenges as opportunities to learn and grow, you're less likely to be derailed by emotional setbacks. You're also more willing to adjust your thinking based on new information, strengthening your logical reasoning. Balance emotion and logic. Emotional and logical resilience are not opposites, they're complementary. Practice balancing by acknowledging your emotions and using logic to guide your decisions. This balance leads to more thoughtful, well-rounded choices, even in adversity. Reflect and learn. Resilience grows through reflection. After facing an emotional or logical challenge, take the time to reflect on how you handled it. What went well? What could you have done better? This reflection strengthens your ability to handle future challenges with emotional strength and logical clarity. True resilience is built by strengthening both your emotional and logical faculties. It's not enough to be emotionally intense if your logic falls apart under pressure. And it's not enough to be rational if your emotions spiral out of control. Master both, and you'll be unstoppable. Calmness and logic are inseparable. Without calm, your logic is compromised. Without logic, your calmness is fragile. To navigate life's challenges effectively, you need to master both, and then take it further by strengthening your emotional and logical resilience. Logic without emotion leads to cold, detached decisions, and emotion without logic leads to chaos. The real power lies in balancing both, using emotional intelligence to guide your logic and calmness to enhance your clarity. Chapter 7, The Importance of Reflection, Learning from Experience. Why reflection is critical for personal growth. Let's not sugarcoat it, if you're not reflecting, you're not growing. Personal growth isn't about blindly moving forward but learning from where you've been. Reflection is the process of turning experience into wisdom. Without it, you're just repeating the same mistakes repeatedly. You're moving, but you're not evolving. Reflection forces you to slow down and take stock of your actions, decisions, and experiences. It allows you to assess what worked, what didn't, and, most importantly, why. This is how you grow. You don't grow by barreling through life without looking back. You grow by learning from your experiences, analyzing your failures, and applying those lessons moving forward. Here's the truth: reflection isn't optional. You must reflect regularly if you want to improve yourself, your decision making, and your emotional intelligence. The more you reflect, the more you grow. It's that simple. Reflection turns everyday experiences into valuable learning moments, and it's critical for developing a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you. Here's why reflection is vital for personal growth. It turns experience into insight. Experience alone doesn't make you wiser, reflection does. Just because you've been through something doesn't mean you've learned from it. Reflection allows you to extract insights from your experiences and apply them in the future. It highlights patterns in behavior. When you reflect, you start to notice patterns in your behavior. These positive or negative patterns are the key to understanding how you operate. Once you identify these patterns, you can either reinforce the positive ones or work to change the negative ones. It sharpens your decision-making skills. Reflection allows you to review past decisions critically. What went well? What could you have done differently? This process sharpens your decision-making skills, helping you make better choices in the future. It increases emotional awareness. Reflection helps you understand how your emotions influence your decisions and actions. By reflecting on emotional responses, you become more aware of your triggers and learn how to manage them more effectively. It builds resilience. Reflection helps you bounce back from setbacks by allowing you to learn from your mistakes. Every failure becomes a stepping stone for growth when you take the time to reflect on what went wrong and what you can do better next time. Bottom line, personal growth is only possible with reflection. It's not enough to go through life, you have to learn from it. Reflection is how you turn your experiences into lessons that fuel your development. How to reflect without overthinking. Here's where people get stuck: they need to understand reflection with overthinking. Reflection is productive, overthinking is destructive. Reflection leads to insight while overthinking leads to paralysis. The goal of reflection is to learn, not to obsess. Overthinking happens when you dwell on your mistakes, constantly second-guess yourself, or replay events without gaining new insights. Reflection is about understanding what happened and moving forward. Overthinking is about getting stuck in a loop of what-if scenarios that only heighten your anxiety and prevent you from taking action. The difference is in how you approach the process. Here's how to reflect productively without slipping into overthinking. Set clear intentions for reflection. Reflection should have a purpose. Ask yourself, what do I want to learn from this experience? Setting clear intentions prevents you from wandering into a spiral of overanalyzing every detail. Focus on what you need to understand and then move on. Limit your reflection time. Don't spend hours reflecting on a single situation. Set a time limit, 15 or 20 minutes is often enough. This prevents you from getting stuck in a cycle of rumination and forces you to be concise and focused in your reflection. Focus on solutions, not problems. Reflection is about learning and improving, not dwelling on mistakes. If you find yourself replaying an event repeatedly, stop and ask, what can I do differently next time? By shifting your focus to solutions, you'll prevent yourself from falling into overthinking. Avoid what-if thinking. The past is done. You can't change it. Reflecting on what-if scenarios, what if I'd said this? What if I'd done that? Is a waste of time. Focus on what happened and how you can improve going forward. What-if thinking is the fuel of overthinking. Be kind to yourself. Reflection requires honesty, but it also requires self-compassion. Don't beat yourself up over every mistake. Acknowledge your missteps, learn from them, and move on. Harsh self-criticism only leads to overthinking and stalls personal growth. Reflection is a tool for growth, not a trap for self-doubt. By staying focused, limiting your time, and prioritizing solutions, you can reflect productively without falling into the overthinking trap. Learning to accept and understand mistakes. Here's a hard truth: you're going to make mistakes. It's inevitable. The problem isn't that you'll make mistakes, most people refuse to accept and learn from them. Instead of using mistakes as a learning tool, they either ignore them or beat themselves up. Both approaches are equally destructive. Mistakes are the best teachers if you're willing to learn from them. But you can only learn if you accept them first. Denial, excuses, and self-blame only block the learning process. The path to growth is paved with mistakes, but only if you're willing to face them head-on. Here's how to accept and understand mistakes. Acknowledge the mistake without shame. The first step to learning from a mistake is acknowledging it. You can't fix what you won't face. But here's the key: don't attach shame to your mistakes. Mistakes are a part of being human, not a reflection of your worth. Acknowledge them without letting them define you. Analyze the root cause. Once you've accepted the mistake, it's time to analyze why it happened. What were the contributing factors? Was it a lack of information, a poor decision, or an emotional reaction? Understanding the root cause is critical to preventing the same mistake in the future. Separate the mistake from your identity. You are not your mistakes. Just because you made a poor choice doesn't mean you're a failure. It means you're learning. Don't let mistakes shape your identity. Instead, let them be the fuel for your growth. Ask, what did I learn? The purpose of reflection is to learn. Ask yourself, what did I learn from this mistake? The answer might be a new strategy, better handling your emotions, or a deeper understanding of yourself. Mistakes are lessons in disguise, but only if you're willing to learn. Apply the lesson in the future. Reflection without action is pointless. Once you've learned from your mistake, apply it to future situations. This is how growth happens. Learning from mistakes is what separates those who succeed from those who stay stuck. Mistakes are only failures if you refuse to learn from them. By accepting your mistakes, understanding why they happened, and applying those lessons moving forward, you turn every misstep into an opportunity for growth. The connection between reflection and self-awareness. Reflection and self-awareness go hand in hand. You can't develop self-awareness without taking the time to reflect, and you can't reflect meaningfully without having a certain level of self-awareness. Self-awareness is the ability to understand your emotions, behavior, and thought patterns. Reflection is the tool that deepens that understanding. Self-awareness allows you to see yourself. When you're self-aware, you recognize how your actions, thoughts, and feelings impact your decisions and relationships. Without reflection, though, it's easy to go through life on autopilot, repeating the same behaviors without ever understanding why. Here's how reflection builds self-awareness. Identifying triggers. Reflection helps you identify what triggers your emotional reactions. Knowing your triggers is essential for managing your emotions and making better decisions, whether it's stress, criticism, or uncertainty. Reflection allows you to trace your emotional reactions back to their source. Recognizing patterns of behavior. When you reflect regularly, you begin to notice patterns in your behavior. Maybe you always react defensively in certain situations or tend to avoid conflict. Recognizing these patterns is the first step to changing them. Understanding your strengths and weaknesses. Reflection illuminates your strengths and weaknesses. You can't improve what you don't know about yourself. Regular reflection lets you see where you excel and need to grow, giving you a clearer picture of who you are and where you want to go. Building emotional intelligence. Reflection strengthens emotional intelligence by helping you understand how emotions influence your behavior. When you take the time to reflect on emotional responses, you become more aware of how your feelings impact your decisions and interactions with others. Refining your thought process. Self-awareness isn't just about emotions, it's about understanding your thoughts. Reflection allows you to examine your thought process, identify cognitive biases, and refine your decision-making skills. Self-awareness is the key to personal growth, and reflection is the key to self-awareness. The more you reflect, the better you understand yourself, and that understanding is the foundation of real change. The importance of reflecting on emotional responses. Let's face it, your emotions drive your actions more than you realize. You can't ignore your feelings, but you also can't let them control you. That's where reflection comes in. Reflecting on your emotional responses is critical to understanding why you react the way you do, and, more importantly, how to change it. Emotions are powerful, but they're not always rational. When you react emotionally, you often respond to a feeling, not a fact. Reflecting on these emotional responses helps you uncover the underlying reasons for your behavior and gives you the insight to respond differently in the future. Here's why reflecting on emotional responses is essential. It helps you identify emotional triggers. Certain situations or people trigger strong emotional reactions in you. By reflecting on these moments, you can identify the reasons for these emotions. Once you understand your triggers, you can prepare for them and manage your emotions more effectively. It reveals emotional patterns. Do you tend to react with anger, fear, or frustration in specific situations? Reflection helps you see the emotional patterns that shape your behavior. Recognizing these patterns is the first step toward breaking them. It increases emotional control. When you reflect on your emotional responses, you become more aware of how emotions drive your actions. This awareness gives you the power to choose how to respond in the future rather than react impulsively. It deepens empathy. Reflecting on your own emotional responses makes you more empathetic toward others. You understand everyone has emotional triggers, and reactions aren't always rational. This understanding makes you more patient and compassionate in your interactions with others. It strengthens emotional resilience. When you reflect on your emotions, you build emotional resilience. Instead of being overwhelmed by your feelings, you learn how to process them healthily. Emotional resilience allows you to bounce back from setbacks without being controlled by negative emotions. Your emotions are powerful, but they don't have to control you. By reflecting on your emotional responses, you gain the awareness and insight needed to manage your emotions, respond thoughtfully, and grow emotionally. Reflection isn't something you do once, it's a lifelong practice. The more you reflect, the more you grow. It's how you turn everyday experiences into valuable lessons, learn from your mistakes, and deepen your self-awareness. If you want to grow, you have to reflect. There's no way around it. Reflection bridges where you are and where you want to go. It's how you become more self-aware, more emotionally intelligent, and ultimately, more resilient. Growth doesn't come from experience alone, it comes from reflecting on those experiences, learning from them, and applying those lessons to your life. So take the time to reflect, not to dwell on the past but to learn from it, not to overthink, but to grow. Reflect, learn, and grow, that's the only way forward. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. The insights and strategies shared here will serve as powerful tools for you to master calm, critical thinking, and emotional resilience, especially in difficult situations. The goal of this video is not just to inform but to equip you with practical steps that you can apply immediately to improve your decision making, manage your emotions, and handle life's challenges with clarity and strength. Your growth is important, and I hope these lessons help you not just in the short term but throughout your entire journey of personal development. Remember, every step forward counts, and reflection, calmness, and critical thinking are the foundations that will carry you through. If you found this video helpful, feel free to share it with others who might benefit. The more people we can reach, the more we can help each other grow stronger and smarter in navigating life's obstacles. Thank you again for watching, and I look forward to continuing this journey with you. Stay strong, stay calm, and keep growing.